All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 24 of Boss Talks. It's a beautiful Wednesday, at least here in Seattle. I hope it is for you wherever you are as well. But I have a great guest today, Robert Velez, or Bobby V, as he likes to be known on the internets. He's pretty active in places like the Facebook group, the official apartment management and maintenance support group. He posts a lot in there. He's newly on LinkedIn, partly because I prodded him and said, "Hey, you should get on there, man." I personally enjoy his content. I think he has a lot of things to offer, both from a comedy relief standpoint, but also he's just a good dude. He has a good heart, and his motivations are pretty awesome too. So he's been in the industry for about 10 years. Before that, he was in the military for 4.5 or so years. And there's been a few other things along the way that he's done, but I'd love to have you meet him. So I'm going to add Bobby to the show. All right, man. Thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. And like I said, I met you, quote unquote, through Facebook. You're pretty active within one of the groups that is more specific to multifamily, and we actually stream directly into that group. So I'm sure there'll be a few people that jump on here from there. But I think you've been in that group, probably one of the longer members, but also pretty active. And so why in the beginning did you get so active in that group, I guess?
Oh, well, so a few years ago, I started working at a property, at a luxury property, and I had one of my friends that was already part of the group, and that's the group name. Just want to put a shout out there for Gary. Gary out there, official apartment and maintenance support group. They said, "Hey, you got to try out this group. They share a lot of good stuff, a lot of funny stuff, a lot of serious stuff." And I've always been very much into comedy. So believe it or not, the first time I got onto that group, that first month they sent me something saying like, "You've been the person that's most engaged and most posted out of all the thousands of people." So I got really hooked real fast.
Right. Yeah, because there's over 50,000 people that are in that group, and you definitely post more than most.
Yeah.
And most people, they're posting things that are like questions, or they're venting, or sometimes there's funny memes and stuff. But by and large, what you post is, it's a way of venting, but through humor. So it's been fun to see that.
Oh yeah.
So like I shared, you
definitely. So what I start, what I started realizing is that go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I think your internet was just cutting out a little bit.
Maybe something happened here with okay. Yeah, so I was basically, I started realizing there's a lot of people out there that have the same questions, the same issues, the same frustrations. And it's always good to have a place to talk about that.
For sure. Yep. And your story of getting into this industry is somewhat unique because you had a path of going through the military. Did you go into the military like straight out of high school, or kind of what was your I guess path forward in that?
Yeah, when I went to join the military, I was kind of straight out of high school. I was living in Puerto Rico, and I tried college like many people. College isn't for everybody, and I wish they would have told me that growing up. Yeah, because it's not for everybody, and I actually have a little bit of ADD, and it's something that I've got under control now. But I didn't know that growing up, and actually went through the military, went through school, had no idea. And then I started realizing, right, that's behavior modification you have to deal with. And that's great. So what ended up happening was I tried to go to college the first semester out of high school, and I realized it just wasn't working out for me. And and I was living with some people in Puerto Rico that were family. I was basically adopted by them. I was going to a church. I was very active in a church, and they took me in. But then they started realizing, they said, well, you know what? You're starting to get a little bit older. It's time to become independent. They kind of adopted me. So they're trying to push me to do something to get a little bit of structure. So when they saw that school wasn't working out for me, they recommended the military, and it opened some doors.
Nice. And how was your experience serving in the military?
Yeah, well, like a lot of people, you would hear, oh, I was tricked into this specific job, or, they told me this. They always say my recruiter lied, but, they just say whatever they need to say to try to get you to come in and do something. And I think no matter what you choose, it's still going to be an amazing experience, a shocker, a culture shock. But
Yeah.
I thought it was a great experience. That's why I met my wife anyway. So I got something amazing out of it. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah. So did it kind of help you like get any skills that have helped you now, or getting into maintenance initially with this industry? Was that you kind of shared how that happened? You can share that here too, but
right. So what I ended up doing was I served altogether 4.5 years, and I was trying to figure out what to do work wise. And basically, once I got out of the military, I came out to the civilian world. I was working security, and I had a good friend that was a maintenance supervisor at a really rough property in the area. And he says, "Hey, we could bring you in. We'll teach you, and I was very willing to come in and learn. So basically, I came in with this idea that basically I was using some of these things. Like, for example, when you're in the military, time doesn't, there's no such thing as, well, I get off at 5 o'clock, I'm going home. It's all borrowed time, because you belong to them. So you could say, okay, I get off at 5, I'm gonna go do this, and I'm gonna go. And at 9 o'clock, they say, we need for you to come in and we're going to clean these barracks. Okay. So I think that part prepared me for like the on call and for the emergency situations, because I kind of feel like it's all time that, as far as working, I come in and I'm not going to be one of those people that are like, oh, this day is so long. I could deal with that.
Yeah. And it may make for a good comedy bit later. So.
Oh yeah. It's all comedy. Life is full of that. I'm constantly writing on my phone all the little notes. Like, I just saw something and said, I need to write that down. That's going to be a meme later.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely, it might come from the fact that you have ADD, because I don't have that kind of gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, like you can view your ADD as a gift, because it's like, it allows you to have, this creativity and this ability to kind of come up with this, a lot of different things, thoughts, ideas.
Yeah. Something that I think is pretty unique when I think about what I do for a living is that I really love to serve people, so in my sense of humor and the things that I share, a lot of times you'll find that it'll be, just funny stuff that we know that not every, let's say in my job, working in the apartment industry, we know that not every resident or every person that comes through the door that we take care of, not everybody is rude. Not everybody's going to treat you in a bad manner. And that could happen anywhere. But every once in a while, I'll share something that it's a kind of blanket statement, but we know this only applies to, the people that are not treating you well. And so a way to vent, because we know that we could never, and if you have a good heart, you're never really going to address somebody in the way that we would joke in a humor type of fashion. So it helps us vent and talk about something and say, look, this just happened to me. And other people are like, well, that happened to me too, and we address it amongst each other. But then when it comes down to it, serving is really the number one priority. That's always been what I feel inclined to do.
Yeah. Yeah. To the point of if I get your timeline right, you were in the military, you went into maintenance for a time, then you went into, you actually went back to school.
Yeah.
And that was like a focus on
Oh,
like
yeah.
ministry essentially?
Yes, it was. Yeah, I was my first 2 years, 9 months. I worked in this property that I said was really rough, and in a kind of funny manner, I guess, even the way that I think. I saw how rough the work was. I mean, it was a lot of work. There were times that I still remember one time, and it's possible that the person that was my property manager is out there and will be able to say, that's true, that happened. There was one weekend that I had about 22 calls, emergency calls, HVAC, air conditioner, plumbing. I lost track of how much time I had been out there. And when I came in on Monday morning, I remember she says, we were supposed to turn in our time to let them know how long we were out there so we could get paid. And I said, I don't even know. And I actually broke down and started crying because it was just so hard. It was such a hard going back and forth. You get home after fixing something, and then that phone rings again, and you go back out.
Yeah.
And so that had me rethinking my life. What exactly should I be doing? How can I? And so I left, and I started studying ministry, and actually got a bachelor's degree in religious studies because I felt like God was calling me to ministry to serve, and I was still trying to figure out my purpose in life.
Yeah. And that led you to sell everything and move back to Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we sold the house, we sold the cars, and everything we had, we left, and that was all on faith. But we still moved around a little bit because my wife doesn't speak Spanish, and when we got to Puerto Rico, we were there about a year and a half, and I was like, you know what, we need to go back to the States, and we went to Tennessee, and that's where I finished off my bachelor's degree. And but when that happened, I ended up coming back to Charlotte because my wife's family is from Charlotte, some of them. My mother-in-law is here, and so we just came back to where we left. But where we left from, and basically, I was trying. I had some changes in some of the thoughts that I was having according, to the theology, and my first supervisor from the first time, he was already up. He had gone up the ranks in another company, and he says, "Hey, we've got an opportunity over here. Would you be willing to come in?" And so I thought to myself, well, I'll just come in and do this until I figure out what I'm going to do on the ministry side. But it turned out that I started realizing that the 4 years that I've been away, I still am passionate about people. I still want to serve, and I realized that I could still, in a certain way, even though it's not a religious type of thing, I can still communicate with people, and people still want to be heard, and people still need for you to take care of their problems. And it's almost like a ministry scenario. So I figured I could do two things. I could help fix things and repair things, but also listen to people's problems and help them out.
Yeah. And this is the industry I mean, as you are, I'm sure, well aware, and I found out during my time on site, in my capacity, that if you're willing to listen, a lot of people don't have anybody to talk to.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
And
right.
they will tell you their story.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so in my case, I really feel passionate and about serving people, and I really feel passionate about talking to them. And what I've realized really in the apartment industry that I feel that is kind of unique is that people want someone they can talk to. And sometimes when they're disgruntled, when they're mad, they're angry, they're not angry at you, they're not necessarily mad. They're just, they feel that like they haven't been heard. They feel like nobody's listening. They feel like, you know what, and a lot of times when I've gone into someone's home, let's say I show up at a property for the first time and I start working there, and they're like, I say, so I try to approach it, they say, hey, my AC is not working, and blah, 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 blah. And they're going on and pissed off and angry. And I say, look, I understand what you're going through, and I'm sorry that this has been your experience. I've never been here. So how can I help you? Tell me what's happening. What exactly is it doing? And then I say, well, this is the steps. And I over communicate with them even. And all of a sudden it turns into something where they're like, this is an amazing experience. You're the most professional person I've talked to. And so that's kind of what I seek to do every time I go into an apartment, so that even if I'm not there for very long because I have to go do something else, I can still cause impact.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you kind of pointed that out as something that you wanted to discuss, was just the idea of being able to de-escalate situations and being able
Oh, yeah.
to, I
Oh,
guess, be there for somebody, and let them get it out. And
right.
then it can really like obviously lead to, okay, well now we can now we can clean whatever we need to clean, or we need to fix whatever we can fix now that we got that out of the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I specifically recently I had a situation with a resident that, we were having a lot of changes in management, not management, but office staff and all that, and the person was really mad because they really couldn't. It's like they were playing tag with us. They felt they couldn't get a hold of us when they were available, and we have to be at this location, and we have training. We have to close the doors for a moment, and this person showed up, and it happened to be that my property manager. Shout out to my property manager, Meg Martino out there, amazing property manager. She was out on an emergency, and this resident showed up, and she says, "Look, I'm so mad. She was like, it seemed like she was ready to move, and I said, "Talk to me. I understand what's happening. Talk to me. What is happening?" And she said, "Well, I've got this and this and this and this and this." I said, "Look, I'm about to go out to lunch. That's what I was doing on my way out. I'll come and visit your apartment, and I'll write down everything. And if I could take care of it there, I'll do it. And if not, talk to her for a few minutes. Went back to see her after lunch." And after that, she sent an email. After I went over there, she sent an email to my property manager. "You guys amazing. Bobby's amazing, and I'm sorry that I blew up." And to me, that's what's fulfilling. I think not everybody thinks that way. There's a fulfillment, a happiness, a satisfaction that we feel when we know that we make people. We're changing lives. We really are.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And really that goes for anybody. I mean,
Mhm.
both in this industry or any job, like if you're just willing to be a good human, I guess, and a listening ear, and um, there's a lot of people that are in their jobs, they don't have anybody else to talk to, and they have their coworkers, and that's it.
That's right.
So it's,
Wow.
it can be hard for a lot of people. So especially the last few years, I'm sure it got amplified even more as you were interacting with your residents and they were just stuck inside.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've seen, and it's funny because not to change the subject, but I've seen some of the funniest things, and I'm sure a lot of us have
Yeah.
going into the visiting people, especially when they're in their homes, and I have scenarios where, like I said, I see everything through the lens of comedy, or not everything has to be super serious, but I pull from different things. In comedy, I kind of put that to the side, like, okay, I'm gonna put that in that compartment, I'm gonna save that for later.
Yeah.
And then you see other things, you're like, people are adapting to this thing about being behind closed doors. And so I've had people where they're working behind the desk, call center style, and maybe when they're talking to me, they're addressing each other in words that I'm like, wow, that was rough. But then all of a sudden the call comes through and they're like, "Thank you for calling Wells Fargo. How can I help you?" So it's like, wow, that was amazing. That was
What a
amazing.
switch.
Yeah, that was amazing how you did that. But you know, you see really interesting things.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one of your posts somewhat recently. It was kind of, you started it off trying to be somewhat sentimental about being, helping out somebody or getting, I think you were getting some kudos from a resident potentially.
Mhm.
And then you got called back or had to go clean up some kind of mess. I want to say the toilet blew up or something. I don't know.
Can't
You
remember. I
made a
can't remember.
post. You made a post. It was very sentimental, and then at the very end, it was like, "Gotcha." So,
Oh
anyways,
yeah, and I can't remember. Oh, I'm always posting stuff, so oh boy. But yeah, there's always something happening, and I draw a little bit of humor from that. But I guess the interesting thing is that as far as the way my mind works, I every once in a while you'll see that maybe I'll actually comment on something, and it's really well thought out. At least in my opinion, I try to make it well thought out. I'm trying to give good advice, et cetera, et cetera, and I almost make it clear. I'm like, hey, all jokes aside, I almost always, all jokes aside, da 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 da. Hope it works out,
yeah,
But because I think we have to, at least in my opinion, I feel like we have to be all things to all people, without losing yourself. I think that's the main thing, is not losing your authenticity. To be
yeah,
authentic, to be who you are, but also be able to be a chameleon to a certain extent. And this person needs for me to talk to them, I talk to them. This person needs to be short about it and just get the work, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that just takes the skill of like paying attention and I guess really seeing like their body language and how they're communicating.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And me, the property manager, and I, sometimes we have somebody come in, and I'm glad that you said that. This is the ADD speaking. The property manager. The other day, I've been training for a multi-site assistant position that I'm currently in, and we were listening to somebody. She was speaking about the process for applying for the apartment, et cetera, et cetera. And we tend to both be like we like to look at what they're saying, and we also like to see what they're not saying, and it was so interesting to watch her talking to the prospect, and the prospect asked a question about something about the credit or this or that, and the property manager, Meg, she realized, she says, what is it about the process that you're concerned about, you know? And she came out and said something, and she was like, look, we can help you with that, that's fine, you know, this might happen, but we're going to try to, you know, she was offering hope, and I just thought that was such an amazing thing, because it's exactly that you're saying. Sometimes they're not being clear with what they're saying, but you have to watch what they're saying, what they're not saying, and it's an amazing experience. It's a real growing experience, I think.
Yeah. So that all recently happened. You got a promotion, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you went from 10 years in the maintenance side of things to
Right.
now you're in the office, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, I'm still.
Has that been an adjustment?
A serious adjustment, because I missed my cargo pockets. I missed that, and you know, I'm always kind of wearing a nice shirt and maybe a tie, and it's still new to people too, because I'm actually working in the same place where I was working maintenance for the last 6-7 months. I moved up and started working as the assistant community manager there, and we got a new maintenance technician, a service manager, amazing guy, and he's getting stuff done. And it's really interesting, because people are still getting used to seeing me in dress clothes, and there's still people that are finding out right now. They're like, "Hey, you're looking nice today." Oh yeah, but what was your rent? I'm kidding. No, I wouldn't say that. But but no, but they say you're looking nice. Oh wow, like what's happening? I was like, oh, I work in the office now. Oh, anyways, so that's been a serious adjustment, but I love it. I love it. I was a little overwhelmed at the beginning,
Sure.
but you know, they were taking in rent payments, and there's a lot going on. And I want to say this officially, because on that Facebook group, we talk about this. I've never thought that the office doesn't do anything. There's a debate out there of who does more work. These people that work in the office, like I'm doing now, and I don't even know everything there is to know yet. I'm learning, but I'm trying to grasp it as fast as possible, and starting to get the work really good. But these people that work in the office, it's really underrated what they're doing. They're not recognized enough. They're handling so many things, and yet we sometimes reduce it to just, you're just behind the desk answering phones, you know, and handing out work orders. They're doing a lot of work. So I want to settle that debate. It's a lot of work. You have to be in it to know. So that's not taking away from either one. Just saying that it's a lot of work for both.
It's just different work.
It's different work, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So
there's not a bunch of people like complaining about being a leasing agent or property manager and how they want to potentially leave the job because it was easy.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah.
This was too easy. I'm getting out of here.
Right. There's just not enough to do in here. Psych. Nobody said that.
Right. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we can always say that about people when we've never done their job.
Yeah, you're right. And at the very beginning, we actually had a conversation with her in front of somebody else, and it was a brief misunderstanding where she kind of thought I was saying that, yeah, well, you don't know what it's like to be maintenance. And I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I haven't walked in your shoes, and you haven't walked in mine. So what I was saying was, we can't have too strong opinions unless we've done both about each other. So I can't say you don't do hardly anything in here, or, you know, or as much as I do because I'm on call or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
They both have their challenges for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to see firsthand, the work that really both. I was kind of the outsider looking in at both because I lived on site and I
Mhm.
helped facilitate events for the community.
Mm.
So I lived there, and so I got to know the maintenance folks and also the leasing folks really well.
Oh, yeah.
But I could see from the outside their jobs, right? Both jobs
Right,
and
right.
challenges that they faced, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just at the end of the day very eye-opening as to how people live too, and the
Oh, yeah.
challenges of um I mean, how people live could be tied to a lot of things, how they grew up,
Oh, yeah.
their mental health,
Oh, yeah.
and you just don't realize that some people live in a way that is just shocking, really.
I agree.
And and then they leave it and you have to clean it up. Um
I agree. It's
but
really
you're like,
sad.
how'd you live that way? Like, how is that even
Yeah.
a thing? Like,
It's sad, but I think you hit on something that's really important, and it's that we're really affected by, we're a product of how we grew up and our surrounding and how we were taught, and we try to take that into consideration definitely
yeah.
as we're observing what's happening around us.
Yeah. I think adding to school like basics of what it maybe how to rent and like what you're responsible for.
Oh
Like
yeah,
maybe that needs to be in high school. Like I don't
oh
know.
yeah. I had a post one time. It was a meme where I put an audiobook, some headphones and an audiobook, and it said your lease. Like saying that we need an audiobook of the lease so that we can listen to that and not come to the office and say, well, that's not on my lease, or how come we have to do this? We're like, well, it's on your lease. Have you read page
Maybe
7?
that's how they fall asleep. They listen to it.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. Oh boy.
Go listen to your lease tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been really interesting. A lot of paperwork, and we actually had a situation just a few days ago where I was trying to help with a lease, and I think this is kind of confirmation of, because I'm so new to the job, specifically in the office. I've had thoughts where I'm like, should I do this or should I go back to doing this, or like, where should I go? I want to make sure that I am where I'm most comfortable.
Yeah.
And this person specifically was kind of flustered looking at the lease, trying to figure out how to sign it, and I'm trying to speak to her, it's like she didn't really quite know what she wanted, whether or not she wanted me to help or not. And I was trying to be patient. I said, do you need to take this home and just come back on Monday, et cetera, et cetera. And then after the property manager had to step out for a moment, she said to me, you need to stay in the office because what you did there was amazing. You saw I was flustered, et cetera, et cetera. And you told me, you even offered if I could, take it home. And I was being difficult, she says. And I just thought that was an amazing thing. It was confirmation for me, because sometimes you may think that you're not causing an impact or that you're not really helping people, but they see what we're doing. And that's no matter where you're at. They
Yeah.
see what you're doing. So I think that's a great thing. The payoff is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think if you really spent the time, you should probably write curriculum for people, because the idea of de-escalation and also just the importance of the maintenance role in the community, I'd say it's one of the most important, because the interfacing with the residents is so much higher, and the need for customer service, the need for being able to interact with other humans is important. And if you can't serve them well, then
Right.
if that's their idea of like living here, they're gonna
Right.
just take their money elsewhere.
That's correct. That's correct. One thing that I've told, especially one of the properties that I'm working at, it was just bought about a year ago or so, and the place has done amazing. It's what the owner is doing with the property, night and day. And sometimes you still have some of these people that'll say, "Well, I still need this and I still need that," and I say, "Well, since I'm new," I said, "I want you to think about something. Okay, just take a moment." And I said, "I want you to think, what's today's date?" And I said, "Ma'am, it's December 7th. I want you to think back to December 7th of 2022 or 2021. Where were you?" Where were we here? I said, you see, look around you. I said, I would need for you to trust this process. Okay. So here we are. And we've already done this much. And I'm promising you, we're going to be doing more. You just got to give us time. That's important.
No, that's good. And obviously you can't do that unless you've been at a place a while, working,
Right.
to really tell that story. But
Right.
to like be able to see it that way though, and communicate it,
Oh, yeah.
I see that being helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Because people, they only see what's in front of their face.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
and let that inform how they react.
Yeah. We actually had a situation just recently, real fast, where we had an agency that came to give laptops to one laptop per resident, and I can't remember the agency specifically. One laptop per apartment. I'm sorry, I meant to say, but that's a lot of laptops. And
Yeah.
we had hot dogs and we had candy for people. This is separate, but I actually do a little bit of singing here and there, and
Yeah.
I set up a karaoke machine and speaker, and I'm over here singing my heart out. I offered, for people to do karaoke too, but they don't want to. They just want to listen to me now. So I'm up there singing and whatnot, and I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So I had a resident come up to me in between songs, and he's telling me in Spanish, and he says, "Wow, this is amazing." He says, "This is amazing. This is happening here. We haven't seen this in a long, long time. Like we've never seen anything like that." And the person had been there for like 10 years. He says, he says, before it's like, and I'm going to say it in Spanish and then quickly translate. He says, nos tenían en el olvido. And that means they had us, and not saying us, saying the people before us, the other management companies and the owners before, they had us in the forgotten place. So basically he was saying anywhere, if there was a place where you could put everything that's been forgotten and just laid aside, he says, that's where they had us. And you guys have brought us back. It's like, wow, look at this. When have we ever had people gathering together and you guys are helping the community and hot dogs and this and that. And to me, that's just an amazing thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a complete transition from this is a place that's a business transaction. You give me money,
Right.
and you have the ability to live here as a result. Versus viewing it as, no, there's life lived here. And you have the ability as people that serve it through your job to identify the fact that that's true and make it so that people enjoy where they're living and also have a good relationship with you guys.
That's right. Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing experience, and the more that I speak to residents, the more I speak to prospects or over the phone, or just even, for example, the person that I told you that I was saying that I told her, hey, I'll come and look at the apartment and all that. So there was one thing that she wanted done that she thought was a big deal initially, and it was some of the blinds had been installed by previous company. And it was brand new blinds, but it looks like they just threw the blinds on there with the old setup. They didn't even put all the hardware together, right? They just kind of threw the other ones on there. It's all crooked. And the way everything was, I said, look, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get you new blinds. I'm going to fix this. We just need to schedule this, okay? And so that was the last thing left on the work order from probably a few months ago, because I need a schedule with her. And I just emailed her the last 2 days to follow up on that, because we have a new maintenance person. It's not going to be me no more. And I said, look, I want to make good on this. And we talked about this. When do you want this done? And she wrote back, oh, that's not an issue. Don't even worry about that right now. So it went from being a situation where, like, you know what, I'm so mad. Maybe I need to leave this place, to you guys have really taken care of me, and don't even worry about that. And I said, well, I emailed her back. I said, well, if you ever need anything done with that, we'll remember this conversation. Okay. So just let us know.
Yeah.
So.
Experience. Yeah, be consistent with the care and the I guess good customer service, we'll call it, and hopefully people have a long memory.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, but we got the email, so
yeah, exactly.
Oh boy,
No, that's good. So you had one last thing that we didn't really hit on that you were kind of wanting to bring up, was just if you could change something, it would be, and you didn't tell me, so I would just like to leave it there and
Oh
ask
yeah.
you.
I guess there's various things I would change. One thing that I would change is, and this would be anywhere, in any workplace, but especially in the apartment industry, speaking with my own experience, is this thing that that people like to do, where they wear as a badge of honor of, I work till 10 o'clock at night every day, and I stay. There were people are workaholics, and they're doing a lot more than not. I'm not talking about above and beyond, because everybody has to stay over 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. What I would change is to normalize what's normal, normalize normalcy. So to me, what I would say is, for mental health, for physical health, and all that, there are people that I'm like, what, I always stay till 8 o'clock at night. I always stay till 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And they're wearing this as a badge of honor of some sort. And it's great to have work ethic. And I've been there. I've known many years ago, especially at the beginning, where I slept in a vacant apartment that I was trying to get ready, worked all night, and then maybe slept 2 or 3 hours. And if my old property manager is here, she's finding out now. It's been like 10 years. Yeah. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to put up blinds and and I know what that's like. But you know what? When we say, oh, I work these long hours, I do this, I do that. Well, let me tell you this. The person that's really, let's talk about the real heroes in this story. The real heroes in the story are the people that are paying the price for these hours that we're spending away from home. The real heroes of the story are the wife, the husband, the fiance, the girlfriend, the whatever, the kids, the vacations that can't be taken. When we say, you know what, I had a day off that day, I can't because I got this apartment I got to finish. Those are, so it's not a badge of honor.
Yeah.
We need to normalize. Let's put in 110%. And then also, let's take our time and go home to our family and our friends.
Right.
And to, to our loved ones. So if I could change something, it would be to normalize that, and to somehow be able to communicate that also to the people in the corporate world. Because I have amazing bosses. I have amazing people in my chain of command, as I would say. But sometimes, these are things that I think we need to normalize everywhere for
sure.
it to be seen, health, mental health and physical health.
Yeah, that's a good word. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to add to it. Okay. But thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, because that's an important thing.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
for sure. All right, Bobby. Well, I have 3 questions to wrap things up.
Okay.
And so they're hard hitting. Don't worry.
Okay.
So as we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but now I work for a company called Community Boss, and it's in the name, community. But we function in the physical aspects of the community, of helping to maintain order and bring a sense of peace by making it easy to manage your physical spaces. But the idea of community is an important one, something I hold dear and to my personal self, and the things that I like to pursue in building community. So how is it that you build community in your personal or professional life?
The way I build community is first by building, facing in. I face in, as in the people that I'm working with, my team. The people that I work with are health. First of all, the body has to be healthy. We have to make sure the morale is good, that the health is well. And then to build the community, we face the community, and we go out and we're a presence. We're a presence in the community. And we let them know, like my boss says, Meg Martino says, I believe she says something along the lines of, I work where you live. You don't live where I work, something like that. And basically she, it's just to say, I'm out here to help you. My sole thing is not, I'm sure you have to pay rent. Sure, you got responsibilities, but we're there to show them that, you know what, we are a community. We're a family together. That's cliche, but it's a truth. We have to be family in order to take care of each other.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Next question. If you were going to have someone over for dinner, what would you make for them?
Oh my goodness. Well, if you ask my wife, she'll say it's going to be rice and beans. And she would be right. Yeah. Probably something like that. Well, I guess if they don't like Spanish food, I'm not sure what I would have to order out, probably.
Yeah.
No, but it would probably be, just rice and beans and some plantains, and don't judge me.
No, it's good. I love, so my wife is, she's mixed. But she's Mexican, and she makes good Spanish rice. But in general, I just like Mexican food.
Yeah. Amazing. It's great. It's great. It really is.
I don't know that I've had, and I don't know that I would know really like the nuances of Puerto Rican food though. Differently.
Yeah. I mean, there are differences, but maybe not really much of a difference. The beans, I think, are different. They do the refried beans. Mexican food is refried beans. Our beans are different types of beans, and they're separate in a sauce with onions and other little things. Seasoning is probably almost the same except for the spicy stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm down for trying it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then lastly, we are here in Seattle. It's kind of a coffee headquarters of the world, really. What is your favorite coffee drink?
Oh, Starbucks. No, but vanilla. I'm always talking about Starbucks. My first videos, we're always talking about Starbucks. And no, but I love anything vanilla, strong coffee. I like strong coffee. I still put creamer in my coffee, but I like strong coffee. So
yeah,
I don't think I discriminate too much against coffee. Coffee is coffee.
Yeah,
you just gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a fuel for the day.
Oh yeah.
It's a way to get going.
For sure.
Well, Bobby, thank you so much again for being my 24th guest here on Boss Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure to have you, to get to know you, and to kind of like, interact more and more online. Hope we can continue that. And
for sure.
Just like Bobby jumped on Boss Talks.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you too can do it. I am somebody that really wants to give a platform to more people in the industry so that they can share what they're the boss of, what they're great at, and what they're passionate about. So if you're interested, reach out to me. I'd love to get to know you and tell your story.
Awesome.
So till next week, it's been Boss Talks, and I thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.